my first exposure to the guitar was probably in the womb. You know, I suspect when I was born there was a lot of guitar music going on, and certainly before I was born there was a lot of music in the house.
He is one of the leading players of classical guitar. Honored by the Colombian government and beyond for his outstanding contribution to music.
There is no one way to describe Colombian music. It's so many different things. I mean, native Colombian music is not just salsa, it's a lot of things. It's, you know, son, salsa, bachata, you know, mapalé, cumbia, pasillo. It depends on what regions you go.
His name is Ricardo Cobo. He began playing the guitar at age 7.
I was growing up in Cali, Colombia, and my mom was a pianist, so we obviously gravitated towards the piano first. And then my dad was an avid guitar listener. He was a doctor, and he loved guitar records. And when he took me to my first guitar concert, I fell in love with the guitar, and I said, I'm never playing the piano again. I'm playing the guitar, even though I had no idea what I was getting into. I had several teachers when I was a kid, and they were very hard to come by. You know, a guitar teacher back then was a real, you know, leap of faith.
They were teachers who instilled in him a deep love of music.
Those were all figures from Cali back in the day. I carry great memories from those guys. They were real troubadours with the guitar.
Like a troubadour himself, Ricardo traveled great distances pursuing his passion. Relocating to the United States, he enrolled in an esteemed music school called the Peabody Conservatory in Baltimore.
Well, I went to Peabody to study music and guitar. I wanted to become a professional, so that was a great place to start. Peabody had a very famous teacher, Aaron Shearer, who was still alive at the time, and who was highly recognized. It was very hard to get in, of course. You have to audition. And you know, I got accepted, and I stayed with him for many years. It was an adventure. I started winning many contests, and I was able to finance, you know, concerts and recordings and appearances, and eventually I won several competitions that pretty much launched my playing career. You know, I don't quite go 112. I mean, I'm more like in the 104.
Okay.
Further study and more awards led to additional travels.
You know, I lived in New York for a long time, and I always had wanted to play in New York, and of course I ended up doing many debuts in New York, you know, at Merkin Hall, at Carnegie Hall, at, you know, Alice Tully Hall, where we played many concerts, and so those were a fulfillment of many dreams that I pursued.
Rehearsing in Washington, D.C. for a concert tribute to the late literary legend Gabriel Garcia Marquez, Cobo calls the Colombian author a transforming influence.
Such a, you know, huge literary figure who wrote so many books, Cien Años de Soledad. I mean, but that I remember as a child reading it and being transformed. You know, you live in a country, and then you realize that very close by in the soul of the country there is an artist who sees it a very different way. And it's a fascinating way to see Latin America.
Juan Carlos Izaguirre, a Washington journalist who once worked with Garcia Marquez, agrees with Cobo. He met us at the 51st State Tavern in Washington's Foggy Bottom neighborhood.
Well, as a journalist, he was marvelous. I mean, he wrote chronicles when he traveled across Europe, especially Eastern Europe in the 60s and the 70s. And he wrote about all some countries behind the Berlin Wall. the Iron Curtain in those days. So I think he influenced lots of journalists in Colombia mainly, and across Latin America, because of his style. He was always telling you, you have to kill all the commonplaces when you write. I mean, that's one of the most important things you can do as a journalist. I mean, don't write the obvious things. You have to write something different. I mean, he also influenced the way we tell the history, we write history about Colombia. And he also influenced lots of musicians. For example, we have a style of music, a regional music called the vallenato in the Caribbean coast. Garcia Marquez loved the vallenato. He was one of the greatest friends of Rafael Escalona, the most famous musician of the vallenato. And Garcia Marquez used to say that 100 Years of Solitude was a vallenato of 400 pages. I mean, he loved music.
So Garcia Marquez, I think, had a profound impact in how things are seen and how they are seen retrospectively. And it really has had a profound impact in painters, musicians, writers, of course.
These days, Cobo is having a profound impact himself by teaching guitar to young, aspiring musicians.
And something very unique is happening in Las Vegas that you don't see anywhere else. The high school systems in Las Vegas started incorporating guitar programs. And this has produced, you know, it has attracted an enormous amount of young talent. So I teach at the University of Nevada, and where I run the guitar department. So I've become very involved with mentoring these young kids and getting them to come to college and pursue guitar as a career. And so it's a very exciting time for us.
Passing down the skills and styles of classical guitar to a new generation of troubadours.
You know, it has been a wild ride. It's been really fun for me.